Long story short, they came in, had us escorted off the property, was going to take over the business. In 3 days, we had the ability to go back in. We borrowed a bunch of money from Charity's dad to pay a lawyer, go in and basically force them out of the business, turn it into a simple loan. But they did basically try to steal my company and turn it into a Mopar restoration shop.
Bitchin Rides became a beloved staple for car enthusiasts around the world, showcasing jaw-dropping custom builds and the relentless craftsmanship of Dave Kindig and his team. But when the cameras suddenly stopped rolling, fans were left wondering why such a successful show came to an unexpected halt. What really happened behind the scenes during those final days? Was it creative burnout, business failure, or something more complex? The answer involves legal battles, corporate shakeups, and a fight to save a dream, revealing a story of loss, tenacity, and ultimate reinvention that few saw coming. The sudden shutdown. In the middle of what seemed like steady growth and creative success, Dave Kindig and his team faced a shock that almost ended their dream overnight. One day, they were unexpectedly escorted off the property of their own shop, with phones and company vehicles taken away. It was a sudden, harsh blow that left Dave and his crew stunned, unsure if they would regain control. The plan behind this move was bold and unsettling: to push Dave out and transform the shop into a Mopar restoration business, far removed from what Kindig It Design had built. This abrupt takeover attempt was more than just a business dispute. It felt like an attack on everything Dave had worked so hard to create. The team was forced out without warning, locked out of their own space, and left to grapple with the uncertainty of their future. For Dave and his wife Charity, the situation was devastating. They had poured their lives into the shop, and now it seemed like it might all be lost in an instant. What made it worse was the accusation leveled against Dave: embezzling $44,000, money he said never even existed in the bank account. It was a claim that threatened not only his business, but his reputation. Dave and Charity were left scrambling, feeling betrayed and desperate as their livelihood seemed to hang by a thread. Yet, despite the chaos, they refused to give up. Borrowing money from Charity's father to hire a lawyer, they fought back fiercely. Within just 3 days, they managed to force the investors out and reclaim the shop, turning what was nearly a takeover into a simple loan agreement. The couple who tried to hijack the business were barred from coming within 500 yards of the property. This brutal episode was nearly invisible to the fans watching Bitchin Rides on television. Behind the scenes, it revealed the volatility of the business world and how fast everything can unravel, even for the most talented and dedicated. For Dave, this was more than a legal battle. It was a life lesson in trust, contracts, and resilience. The fight left scars, but also made the Kindigs stronger and more cautious. They learned the hard way to safeguard their vision and to never take success for granted. It reshaped how Dave ran the studio moving forward, focusing on control, clarity, and protecting the integrity of his work above all else. Even years later, Dave speaks of this episode with a strange kind of gratitude. That near collapse refined his approach to business and taught him the importance of financial discipline and legal safeguards. It became a defining moment in his career, a crucible from which a more vigilant Kindig It Design was born. The sudden shutdown was only the opening chapter in a much larger story, one filled with challenges, triumphs, and a relentless commitment to craft. What happened in those tense days set the tone for everything that followed. As daunting as it was, the hard battles that came afterward would test more than just the business. They tested the very heart of the Kindig family. The lessons learned in the heat of that crisis would ultimately influence how they faced every obstacle, from legal threats to corporate shakeups. The investor conflict. The origins of the crisis go back to this kinda hopeful moment, where a husband and wife car collector couple decided to put their money into Dave Kindig's shop. Fresh capital meant there could be growth, new gadgets or tools, and bigger builds too. You know, a pretty normal path for little operations trying to step up to the next level. But Dave and Charity, well, they weren't exactly business wizards, and their belief in the investors was about to get quietly taken advantage of in a not-so-friendly way. At first, the investors put in roughly $120,000, and the wife ended up handling the books. That job gave her unusual access to the company's financial inside parts, so she could see its actual worth and also its weak spots. It looked, at least on paper, like a mutually beneficial investment, until those first few months when it became more like a growing danger hanging over everyone. 4 months after the investment, the couple did their move, I guess. While Dave was out, grab lunch or whatever, they rolled in with this kinda authority vibe and had the Kindig team physically escorted off their property. Phones got disconnected, company vehicles, confiscated, and the control part just rested away. Overall, it felt like a calculated play to displace Dave and his entire vision and swap it for turning the shop into something it was never meant to be in the first place. The investors, their plan to pivot the business toward Mopar restorations, just collided right into Dave's bigger picture. Custom builds, experimentation, new ideas, and meanwhile, behind the scenes, the accusations started piling up too, like financial misconduct, with that falsified embezzlement claim mixed in. It added this extra layer of mess, urgency, all of it. Dave, he never saw any missing funds, so the allegation landed more like a weapon, not a real concern. In the thick of the whole thing, Dave and Charity got overwhelmed, sure, but still stubbornly determined. They leaned on family support and legal counsel, trying to mount a counterattack. The borrowed money from Charity's father became the real lifeline, the one that let them challenge the takeover and safeguard what they'd built, not just let it get rewritten. With a legal and personal fight going on, the Kindig's tenacity really came through, even if it felt a bit chaotic at times. In just a matter of days, they got their shop back, and they reasserted control not because they just gave in, but because they moved decisively and held firm through it all. A court order stopped the investors from coming near the business again, which ended up being a big, essential safeguard. Looking back, that whole situation planted a difficult, hard-earned caution in Dave about how investor relationships can go, and how due diligence is not some optional detail. He'll tell you that he didn't know much about the business side back then and that those lessons ended up mattering a lot for how long Kindig design could last. It wasn't only a near loss either. That investor conflict basically changed the shop's rhythm and what they prioritized. It sharpened Dave's drive for self-reliance and protected the creative core of the company, and along the way he set boundaries that would help him handle future problems. The shadow of that struggle stayed around for a while, but it never really took over the future of Kindig design. Instead, it turned into a quiet proof of persistence power, like when everything seems stacked against you, and you still keep going anyway. This battle, fought in the boardroom and courtroom alike, was only one aspect of the complex story that shaped the shop's growth, and ultimately the fate of Bitchin Rides itself. The road from near ruin to a celebrated car-building empire was paved with struggle, vision, and unwavering passion. Building Bitchin Rides. What started in a modest garage in Salt Lake City quickly evolved into a custom car shop that captured global attention. When Bitchin Rides premiered on September 2nd, 2014 on a small network called Velocity, no one anticipated how far the show would reach. The formula was straightforward, documenting the entire process from design to reveal, yet the authenticity and craftsmanship made it resonate worldwide. Dave Kindig's obsession with perfection was at the core of the show's success, whether restoring a pristine 1933 Ford or creating groundbreaking designs like the CF-1, a custom Corvette-inspired build from a blank slate, every project embodied a pursuit of excellence. This relentless attention to detail and problem-solving won the admiration of a diverse audience beyond traditional car fans. The shop wasn't just about machines, it was about people. Kevin "Kevdog" Scheel, the longtime fabricator and co-star, brought a personality and spirit that made viewers feel connected to the team. This blend of expert craftsmanship and genuine camaraderie turned casual viewers into loyal followers. Season after season, Bitchin Rides became the top series on its network and reached millions in countries as far-flung as the United Kingdom and Italy under different titles. Its broad appeal and steady growth reflected the universal draw of creativity and hard work done right. The shop itself became a character. The family environment was authentic, and the passion was palpable through each frame. Unlike shows focused solely on entertainment, this was a window into the real struggles, successes, and frustrations of one-of-a-kind custom builds. The uniqueness of the builds, combined with the slow, thoughtful reveals, kept audiences hooked. Some projects took years, like the award-winning 12 Air 53 Corvette that earned a Riddler Award after 4.5 years of work, highlighting the dedication behind the scenes. Viewers loved watching the ebb and flow of creation, from fabricating metal to final paint, often hearing the debates and setbacks that shaped each car. The trusting relationship between Dave, his team, and fans turned into one of the show's defining strengths. Despite the pressures and the growing spotlight, Dave remained committed to quality over speed, a philosophy that earned respect, but sometimes fueled tensions with clients and schedules. It was a careful dance between artistry and the realities of running a business. This rise to fame and acclaim was never guaranteed, but became a journey that reshaped custom car culture and introduced Dave Kindig to a worldwide audience, making Bitchin Rides a legend in its own right. But as the show soared, it would soon face forces beyond creative control that would alter its course forever. Even the strongest foundations are vulnerable to storms from both inside and outside the garage walls. Legal challenges and lawsuits. Even as Bitchin Rides drew a pretty passionate crowd and the shop's reputation kept climbing, Kindig Design wasn't fully safe from legal trouble. It sort of came with the territory. Around 2015, the company got hit with a serious lawsuit from Creative Controls, Inc. They claimed copyright and patent infringements tied to certain designs, basically saying some of the shop's work stepped over a line. And yeah, it was a drain in more ways than one. Not just money, but also time, mental bandwidth, and all that energy that could have gone right back into the custom builds the team actually loved doing. Legal stuff like this can straddle messy intellectual property territory, making it hard to untangle, especially when you're more used to metal and paint than you are legal jargon in a stack of paperwork. Getting through it took a good deal of perseverance, plus business savvy, the kind Dave and the crew picked up the hard way. The lawsuit did end up settled, but the whole run-in highlighted how thin the line can be between what feels innovative and what needs protection. It also showed, pretty clearly, how the business side of building cars can shape the artistic side, sometimes more than anyone expects. Bottom line, staying sharp about rights and contracts wasn't optional, it was essential. Yet the legal troubles didn't just stop there. One particularly sore episode involved a bunch of clients connected to a 1974 Dodge Charger build. Those clients came forward with complaints about delays, breach of contract, and, yeah, even fraud allegations. It's not exactly rare in custom fabrication where the distance between what the client imagines and what painstaking, one-off workmanship actually demands can get pretty darn wide. The shop was dead serious about perfection and quality, but that seriousness sometimes ran straight into the impatience. and the steady frustration of people wanting a miracle on a tight schedule. Managing those client relationships while still turning out truly world-class craftsmanship pushed Kindig Design to tweak how they talk to people and how they run projects. Dave and his crew learned to set expectations more carefully, and they had to do a better job educating clients on the real deal of building custom cars, which often comes with unexpected snags and longer timelines than anyone wants to hear about. This became even more true when the work got stranger and more complicated, meaning the design and engineering had to stretch further than before. Then COVID-19 hit, and everything somehow got harder. Client finances wobbled because uncertainty spread through the economy, and the whole custom car industry started feeling unstable. A lot of projects stalled or got paused completely, while supply chains and available resources turned unpredictable, to say the least. For a shop that depends on customers prepared to put serious money into custom builds, that stretch was extra precarious. Despite the hurdles, Kindig Design's foundation of family and culture a sort of powered them through these storms. The shop expanded, like really expanded its footprint too, moving into a facility spanning more than 27,000 square feet, a quiet sign of their ongoing growth and resilience. With that bigger place, they could take on larger builds and pull in more eyeballs across the industry, and also among enthusiasts worldwide. Even with the legal fights and pandemic pressures pushing hard on the company, they never totally silenced the shop's spirit. The team basically doubled down on what made them feel special: an obsession with detail, a collaborative family-type atmosphere, and a steady refusal to cut corners. It became pretty obvious those values were the real assets Kindig Design had, and they carried the shop way past any lawsuit or economic downturn. Trying to juggle legal challenges alongside client expectations also sharpened Dave's approach to leadership and business. He put more into the structures that protect the shop's reputation, while still keeping the creative integrity that fans actually loved. That balance felt like it would set the stage for confronting one of the biggest external forces still waiting out there. The grind of these internal battles prepared Kindig Design for a corporate storm on the horizon, one that would affect not just the shop, but the very platform that brought Bitchin Rides to its global audience. The Warner Brothers Discovery merger. In 2022, the media landscape shifted dramatically when Warner Media and Discovery merged into a new giant called Warner Brothers Discovery. This seismic corporate realignment sent ripples through many properties, including the Motor Trend network, which had been the home of Bitchin Rides. Such mergers often come with broad cost-cutting measures and content reshuffling, and unfortunately, many beloved niche shows found themselves vulnerable. For Bitchin Rides, this meant a sudden change in how its content was distributed and prioritized. The dedicated Motor Trend Plus streaming service was shut down in early 2024, and all its programming, including Kindig's show, was moved to larger platforms like Discovery Plus and Max. While it might seem like wider exposure, this transition actually diluted the focus on specialized automotive content and disrupted long-standing viewer habits. Behind the scenes, decisions about which shows to keep or cancel were made far from the workshop floor, in corporate boardrooms where ratings were only one small piece of the puzzle. Bitchin Rides wasn't losing viewers, it was a casualty of a strategic streaming realignment driven by cost efficiency and brand consolidation. These business choices often overlook the deep fan engagement and cultural impact of shows like Kindig's. Dave Kindig found himself faced with a reality few creators ever want to face. The fate of his show was no longer in his hands. Negotiating a way to end the series while protecting the shop's identity and craftsmanship became the paramount goal. The way contracts were structured was critical. ensuring that the shop would never turn into a permanent film set that might compromise its core business. This insistence on control meant that when the final episodes were filmed, they maintained the same standards of quality and integrity as every project before. Dave refused to let production deadlines dictate the creativity or timeline of builds, prioritizing craftsmanship above television scheduling. For many viewers, the final season of Bitchin Rides delivered some of the most impressive work the shop had ever done, including a multiple-year project that won prestigious industry awards. Ironically, the show's ending came at a moment of creative and commercial strength, a reminder that sometimes external forces, not internal decline, determine a program's lifespan. The corporate merger and streaming shift were stark examples of how art and entertainment are often subject to financial and strategic decisions beyond their creators' control. Yet the closure of this chapter also freed Dave and his team to explore opportunities outside traditional television constraints. Without tight filming schedules, they gained the freedom to chase more ambitious projects and connect directly with fans on digital platforms. The loss of the show was reframed as a release from the pressures that had accumulated over the years. This transition marked a turning point, not an end. The work and passion behind Kindig design continued unabated, with the shop embracing a new era of creative independence. The team's focus shifted from pleasing networks to fulfilling their own vision and building a more intimate relationship with their audience. As the cameras that made him famous switched off, Dave Kindig prepared to steer the ride in a new direction, one defined by freedom, authenticity, and the same relentless pursuit of perfection that launched his career. The evolution of Kindig design beyond the constraints of television hinted at a future where craftsmanship and audience engagement could thrive hand in hand, unburdened by corporate mandates. Negotiating the show's end, when the corporate winds shifted and the future of Bitchin Rides started looking kinda uncertain, Dave Kindig ended up at this really critical crossroads. Even though the choice to end the show came from forces way beyond his control, he was still determined to steer the ending in his own fashion, on his own terms. The real point was guarding the shop's integrity and that careful craftsmanship above everything else. No matter what, he refused to let the business turn into just a background scene for television. Dave and his crew had negotiated things up front, including contracts that made sure the shop would never become a permanent film set, or whatever you want to call it. By doing it that way, they protected the core mission, building incredible cars without trimming quality to meet production demands. When the cameras finally wrapped up for the last time, the same high standards that had been there since the beginning stayed put. No slipping, no shortcuts. Dave made sure every build got the time it needed, without the usual stress of cramped filming schedules or network deadlines. That commitment is why the last season ended up showing some of the most ambitious and polished work the shop had ever put out. There was even that standout multi-year Corvette project, the one that won a prestigious Riddler Award. And yeah, it was bittersweet, but the final episode still carried the sharp passion and precision fans had learned to expect, right through the very end. Dave had control over how the series wrapped up, and that also meant the shop could start taking back its time and its mind space. Once cameras weren't setting the pace each day, the Kindig team found room to work, kind of unbothered, going after projects that were longer and, yes, more complicated than usual. That little break from television rules sparked a fresh kind of thinking, giving them the liberty to sharpen methods and test ideas outside the tight show timetable. It felt like shutting one door and suddenly, weirdly opening into a bigger workshop for real hands-on craftsmanship. But it was more than just the schedule. Ending the show on their own terms helped protect the shop's core culture. Dave never wanted the crew to feel like they were acting in some scripted drama, more like partners in a living, breathing garage family. That kind of environment built trust, both with clients and with the employees, so problems could be tackled head-on without that steady glare that comes with constant filming. In that way, the ending wasn't only a finale, it was a bittersweet kind of keeping something deeper than television success. For longtime fans, the move looked less like a loss and more like a shift, a chance for Kindig Design to keep growing past the limits of the medium that made it famous. Dave has said that the network's call let him out from under a clock that never truly belonged to him. After that, the shop could talk straight to enthusiasts on its own rhythm and on its own terms. That change, in practice, started a new chapter for engagement and for creativity too. Even when the cameras faded out, the crew's connection stayed solid. A lot of the familiar faces fans had come to recognize stayed right there at the shop, still pushing energy into new projects with the same kind of drive. Their ongoing effort showed that Bitchin Rides wasn't just a series, it was a household, kind of knit together by a shared obsession. That ongoing continuity gave everyone steadiness after years in the spotlight, and it highlighted what the shop really is underneath all the noise. This careful conclusion set the stage for what came next, a rebirth of the brand and a deeper connection with fans hungry for authenticity and access to the creative process. Stepping away from television did not mean stepping away from fans or the future of Kindig Design. Life after television. With the cameras gone, Kindig Design faced a new reality filled with both challenges and fresh possibilities. Far from fading into obscurity, the shop found a renewed energy and direction in a landscape reshaped by digital platforms. Instead of relying on traditional networks, Dave and his team embraced the power of YouTube, launching Kindig All Access at the start of 2026. This move offered fans a direct line into the shop's day-to-day world, unfiltered and unedited. Unlike television's polished and time-boxed episodes, Kindig All Access gave viewers raw, extended insight into everything from early design sketches to metal shaping, wiring, engine tuning, and even the inevitable frustrations. Fans finally got to see the full arc of projects like the CF1, following it from start to finish with an intimacy that had been impossible before. The channel's longer, deeper episodes created a feeling of genuine inclusion that resonated strongly with the audience. This more authentic connection quickly proved to be a smart business move as well. Freed from network gatekeepers deciding what content fit the brand, Dave controlled every aspect, from story angles to pacing, building a more engaged, loyal community. The shop's social channels became vibrant hubs where fans could interact directly, ask questions, and witness creativity in real time. This democratization of content marked a radical shift from the old television model. Trade shows and industry events became important stages for Kindig Design's new chapter. In 2025 and 2026, the shop unveiled spectacular projects like a wide-body 1969 Camaro, a 57 Oldsmobile, and bold CF1 variants, capturing attention and respect in the custom car community. Plans for cutting-edge designs, including a radical nomad wagon concept, signaled ongoing ambition and innovation. Dave's vision extended beyond builds and broadcasting to deeper engagement with fans and community. The YouTube channel became a platform for education, mentorship, and transparency, giving aspiring builders an inside look at the realities of custom fabrication. This openness did more than entertain. It inspired a new generation of enthusiasts and craftspeople. The transition from television to digital also freed Dave and Charity to focus on what mattered most: family and legacy. After more than 35 years together, their partnership remains the foundation of the business and the driving force behind its longevity. Charity's role as co-founder and vice president ensures that the shop's heart beats strong, even as it evolves. Life after television proved that Kindig Design was never just a show. It was a living, growing family, grounded in craftsmanship, fueled by passion, and connected to fans in ways that transcend any screen. The end of Bitchin Rides was not an end to the story, but the opening chapter of a new journey. Family, legacy, and giving back. Honestly, at the heart of Kindig Design's story is not just custom cars or the TV fame. It is more like the family that kept the dream steady through every kind of problem that came along. Dave Kindig and his wife Charity have been doing life and work together for more than 35 years. While Dave worked out the creative vision, Charity stayed on the book side, marketing, and client ties, turning something that looked like a simple garage start into a proper custom shop people actually respect. And it doesn't stop there either, because the family foundation also reaches their kids. Bailey takes on a key role with marketing, and Drew works right in the shop as a body man. Their involvement gives Kindig Design this multi-generational vibe that feels real, not the kind of thing staged for cameras. It is more lived out each day, even when nobody's watching. This unity helped the family endure business pressure, legal battles, corporate changes, and then the end of Bitchin Rides. Through it all, Charity stayed like this steady balance to Dave's restless creativity, the calm sort of force behind the operation. Beyond the shop, the Kindigs have built this legacy of giving. They backed Primary Children's Hospital in Utah, then a bunch of children's charities, pediatric cancer research, mental health, emergency response, child abuse prevention, veterans, disaster relief, and even trade mentorship for young people. A lot of the work is quiet and very local. It's more about impact than any recognition. As of 2026, Kindig Design continues to thrive in Salt Lake City, with new builds like the CF1, ongoing commissions, events, and YouTube content. In the end, Dave Kindig's legacy isn't only about cars. It's about family, resilience, community, and those relationships that keep the shop living on. Dave Kindig's story shows us that behind every great show, the real power lies in passion, family, and resilience. Though Bitchin Rides ended on television, the drive to create and connect is stronger than ever. If you enjoyed this inside look, be sure to like and subscribe for more stories from the world of custom cars and craftsmanship.